My solo trip to Peru continued on to hike the second most visited tourist attraction in the country, Rainbow Mountain. Rainbow Mountain was only recently uncovered in 2015 to those of us outside of Peru after the snow melted and Vinicunca, aka the Mountain of Seven Colors, appeared. It showcases a marble-like effect of red, turquoise, and gold due to the mixture of red clay and sediment of minerals over the years. It sits at 17,000 feet, which means you need to arrive in Cusco a few days beforehand to get acclimated and prepare for the hike. After hiking Machu Picchu and being in Cusco for a week, I thought I was ready to do it with ease. But little did I know just how much this hike would put me to the test and push my limits. After finding a tour on Airbnb experiences that included an ATV drive, I decided, yes, it's time for us to go to Rainbow Mountain, y'all.
So here I am, it is like 3:30 in the morning, about to head downstairs to wait for my shuttle before we arrive in Rainbow Mountain. It's gonna take about 2 hours to get there. We'll have breakfast, ride the ATVs, but you still have to hike. And from what I've heard, Rainbow Mountain's altitude can be really brutal. So I haven't had any altitude sickness yet, and I'm hoping I can continue that streak. However, I'm also open to possibly renting a horse and taking the horse up if necessary. If it gets too much for my head, I have no shame in that. But the plan is to hike it after we ride the ATVs. One thing I've noticed about being in Peru is that all the tours are super early because you have to drive quite a ways to get to where you want to go. And even as a morning person, it's been really testing my morning person abilities. But this is my last one for this trip, and I'm excited to end my hiking adventures in Peru to go and see Rainbow Mountain. So let's head downstairs. Also, to do a fit check, they said pack really warm. I have on my hiking boots, some thermal leggings, a fleece, my jacket, my base bag, and a hat I bought in Cusco. Actually, I bought this in Agua Calientes yesterday after Machu Picchu. And I also have my sun hat that I wore in my Machu Picchu video as well, because they said bring both, as well as gloves. So you have to prepare for like all the seasons. No matter what you do in Peru, you have to absolutely prepare to be cold, rained on, especially now in their wet season. So I have all the layers on, and I think this will be relatively warm enough for my trip today. And of course, red lip. This is Fenty. Okay, one thing I'm gonna do is be cute when I can. And yes, a red lip is necessary. We stopped for breakfast at this little shop. The breakfast wasn't too bad. Some pancakes, fruit, and eggs. And you can also buy stuff. So if you happen to forget any hats or gloves or things, there's a little shop right here. On trips like this, I really appreciate that I am from Wisconsin because I can handle a lot of cold, and it's really not that cold to me. See that mountain? Like we're gonna go higher. That's not what we're hiking, but it's gonna get colder. And I feel like, I know a lot about the cold, so this really doesn't faze me as much. So shout out to Wisconsin girlies and the Midwest girlies and the girls who be in the cold wearing layers and stuff, because when you grow up in a very cold climate, everything else seems very tolerable. On the ATV. I was a little nervous to be on here, not gonna lie, but I did a little test run and it's not too bad. I just can't believe I'm about to ride ATV. I'm not gonna be going fast because I'm scary, and also because it's very, very like windy, as you can see, and we're kind of gonna be going around. So I got my GoPro So we'll see what kind of footage I can capture of my ATV experience to Rainbow Mountain. Rest stop, and look at that. We drove all the way up here. Oh my gosh. Literally in the Peruvian mountains. Crazy. Also, ATV, definitely have to get used to it, but I think now I'm used to it, so I'm gonna be a pro by the end of this. So cool. We are hiking up to Rainbow Mountain. I decided not to take the motorcycle because I wanted to try to see if I could do the hike. I will be lying if I said it was easy, because it ain't. Apparently, if you take a motorcycle, it's like 20 minutes. If you take the hiking is an hour. And if you can't hear, I'm already out of breath, so we will see how this ends. But I did have to stop for a second because my stomach hurt a little bit. So we'll see if I get more nauseous or not, and if I need to switch. Taking a rest with snacks. I'm really contemplating my life decisions. In this moment. I have been good with no altitude sickness, man, but this oxygen, or the lack thereof, it's a lot. But the guide said that we are almost halfway. So I might get to the top in a while. Got some granola. We are super close to the top. The view from behind is so pretty. Yeah, this was a hard one. Whew. I stopped a lot, but we're close. We're so close. I made it, barely, but I made it. So cool. Okay, now Okay, we are walking back now. I almost did not make that last part. Homeboy had to pull my arm. The altitude really hit me then, and it was not fun, but the view was absolutely worth it. I definitely recommend adding Rainbow Mountain to your Peru itinerary. I will say, next time I'm taking the motorcycles because your girl cannot breathe. Okay, I had to take so many stops, but all that matters is that I made it, and I can check it off my bucket list now because I ain't hiking this again. No, ma'am, not I. I am very tired. I'm glad I did it. I'm going to take the motorcycle if I ever come back to Rainbow Mountain. But definitely the layers came in handy. The hat, I didn't really use the gloves, so that was cool. But now we head back down to get the ATVs to go to lunch because the girl's hungry and thirsty. I made it back in one piece from Rainbow Mountain. I literally just got back to the hostel. It was such a cool experience. I have never done ATV anything while traveling, and I think I'm gonna have to start adding it every now and again to my solo travel adventures. The tour was amazing. They were really helpful. As I mentioned earlier, I struggled going up the last little bit of Rainbow Mountain, so the fact that they waited for me, the guy literally pulled my arm up so that I would be able to make it to the top. And yes, it was great. It was incredible. Another bucket list adventure to check off my bucket list. But before I go, here are some off the dome tips if you are considering hiking Rainbow Mountain. Number one, the altitude is killer. Y'all saw I was breathing hella hard, so be prepared for that. I was breathing way harder on this hike than I was to Machu Picchu, so you may want to do Machu Picchu first to prepare yourself and get acclimated while you're in the Cusco area, then do Rainbow Mountain, though there was a couple on my tour today that's actually doing Rainbow Mountain first and then doing Machu Picchu. So it's up to you, but I recommend doing Machu Picchu first. My second tip for Rainbow Mountain is that if you do not want to hike, you can take a horse or you can take a motorcycle up to a certain point and then you have to hike the rest, like the last 20 minutes or so, I believe. So you do not have to hike all of it if you are not able to, which also leads me to tip number 3. I did the ATVs and that actually cut off some time that I think people may normally hike. My tour guide said from the entrance where it says welcome to Rainbow Mountain is 2.5 hours, but then we kind of rode up on our ATVs up to the point where it's about an hour. So I don't know if that's the norm for all of the tours, but definitely double check as you are planning your experience to Rainbow Mountain. And also something I did not bring was snacks and water. I don't know what I was thinking, but bring you some snacks. My tour did include breakfast and lunch, but I think it would have been nice if I had some snacks in between. I did buy some little cocoa candies on the way from one of the indigenous women who was by the bathroom and I had to pay her to go pee. But I do recommend bringing some snacks and bringing more water than I did because that altitude will get you. You want to make sure you stay hydrated, especially if you're more prone to altitude sickness. I hadn't gotten altitude sickness until really today. I kind of felt a little nauseous when I was going up Rainbow Mountain, but not too much to stop or throw up or anything like that. So if you are very sensitive to the altitude here in Cusco, I recommend that you bring snacks and take your time to get acclimated before doing the Rainbow Mountain hike. And my last tip is to bring cash. You will need 25 soles to go into Rainbow Mountain. And if you want to take the motorcycle round trip, you will need to pay, I think 70 or 90 soles. But if you only want to take it down, it will be 30 soles. So you can decide once you get there if you want to risk the altitude. Not gonna lie, I thought about turning around in the beginning, but I said, you know what, I'm gonna try it. And I did it, but I will be taking the motorcycle next time. So don't forget to bring your cash. Also, if you want to buy any snacks or treats at the top of Rainbow Mountain, there are women who are selling those things like water, chips, candies, etc. if you need something to balance out the very, very high altitude of Rainbow Mountain as well. So those are my quick tips straight off of hiking Rainbow Mountain. This is also the end of my time in Cusco. I head to Puno tomorrow to take the Peru rail train from Cusco to Puno to then go to Lake Titicaca before I head back to Lima and then head back to the US. So this was an amazing end to my adventures here in Cusco, Machu Picchu, just walking around, Rainbow Mountain ATVs, and gonna top it all off with a train ride. Honestly, has all of my favorite things in one trip. So if you are considering coming to Peru, I would highly recommend it. There is definitely something outdoorsy for everyone, and still so much more I haven't been able to do because I was only here for a week. So if you want to do more outdoorsy things, you may need 2 weeks to do every little thing that Peru has to offer. But I'm very happy with what I was able to do on this solo trip, and I'm excited to end it with a train ride in true Sojournies fashion. So thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and as always, stay curious, and I will see you all in my next video, which, as I mentioned, we're taking the train. Bye.